Hello, people of the world watching vehicle reviews on the internet. Welcome to this, the all-new 2025 Mazda CX70 PHEV. Being that I already reviewed the CX90 with the new turbo inline 6 in it, I decided to give this two-bean salad a rip. And today I'm going to get up in the air, we're nerd out in the tech specs, inspect those two beans to be exact, and then unleash them. I don't even know what I just said. Well, that's interesting. It's also like a little turbo fan, kind of. Mazda didn't do a ton to differentiate this from the CX90. The bumpers are really all that's it on the exterior. As far as tow capacity goes, a little removable plastic plug right here, capable of towing up to 3,500 pounds. Massive stainless single inlet dual outlet muffler. Even though this is made in Japan all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid, it's significantly different than a Toyota because this is a true mechanical longitudinal all-wheel drive system, starting with an all-steel in construction multi-link rear suspension with cast aluminum knuckles, with the exception of the upper links. Those are aluminum as well. Coilover dampers manufactured by ZF. Made in Korea. A German company made in Korea, but the vehicle's made in Japan, sold in the USA. Aluminium shields for the rear diff area. It is an open type differential with a 4.44 final drive ratio, aluminium housing and diff cover, and it looks like one of those Christmas hams that's wrapped in that net. Kind of, but don't eat it. It does have Mazda's kinetic posture control, which is capable of overdriving the outer wheel to help in cornering. Also, it can vector torque as needed by the braking system. Interesting. I guess because kinetic posture control, it doesn't utilize a rear anti-sway bar. The Mazda CX70 chassis code KK is essentially the same as a CX90 minus 2 seats, and this PHEV model with its 17.8 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack weighs in at 5,198 pounds. Plastic. Lots of plastic and aluminum. Ooh, that's steel. It's got a steel skid plate, and it's not even an off-road vehicle. Other manufacturers take notice of the fact that the drive shaft is buried into an abyss. You gotta remove all this heat shielding and plastic, get to it. Heat shield, also anti-theft device for the cat because idiots won't know it's there. Little access panel for oil changes. The exhaust mid-pipe, all stainless steel in construction, measures in at approximately 60 millimeter in diameter or a little less than 2.5 inch SAE. As far as the transmission goes, both the PHEV as well as the turbo inline 6 models come with this in-house designed, longitudinally mounted 8-speed automatic transmission that forgoes a torque converter in favor of a multi-plate clutch system, wet clutches to be exact. Where the PHEV model differs though is wedged between the transmission and the engine lies a 68 kilowatt permanent magnet synchronous electric motor, which can be used in full EV mode or in conjunction with the internal combustion engine. It is paired to the iActive all-wheel drive system, which in normal operation conditions, it is a rear-wheel drive based system that can send torque up front as it is determined by robots when it is needed in a certain mathematical equation to provide the maximum amount of grip. I don't even know if that made sense, but it sounded good. Unfortunately, you can't see anything up in here, but you do have a front drive shaft going to the front differential unit, another open type one. The rear transmission crossmember is aluminum. That's all you can see of it. That right there is 2 refrigerant lines for the cooling of that lithium ion battery pack. Steel housing. Up front, the CX70 utilizes a double wishbone suspension configuration with a unique lower wishbone that is comprised of both steel and aluminum, made in China. The lower ball joint portion is removable. While I'm no engineer, utilizing 2 dissimilar metals like this, which will act differently when forces are applied to them, joined together with hardware, will affect handling characteristics in a way that an engineer thought would be snazzy. Again, paired to a set of those ZF coilover dampers. Sausage-size anti-sway bar connected to pencil-sized end link. Front anti-sway bar, massive. You can already tell. Measures in at, 32 millimeter in diameter. The steel subframe kind of acts like a little bit of a skid plate attached to these front lower plastic engine covers. All right, time for the braking test. Nothing behind me. Ready, sets, go. Okay, wow. I think I could feel the regeneration happening. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I was feeling some stuff. It was very planted and low center of gravity feeling to the stop. Much shorter stopping distance than I was anticipating. A little bit of ABS feedback and noise. That braking was just made possible in conjunction with the regenerative braking system, thanks to a set of 2-piston front calipers with a 348 millimeter or 13.7 inch front rotor. The wheels on this fully spec'd CX70 are a 21 by 9.5 with a positive 45 millimeter offset. They're a house blend cast aluminum manufactured in China, gloss black with machined face. The tire valve stem is shielded in this little pocket, wrapped in an enormously wide 275/45 21-inch Falcon Zeeks all-season tire. CT60A all-season to be exact. This thing has 275s up front. Thick plastic inner fender liners. You can see the underside of the upper strut tower, which is ribbed aluminum for better handling characteristics and strength. Functional aero. Behind the grille, you can see it's all black because the active aero shutters are closed, blocking off airflow to the AC condenser and heat exchangers. Black plastic side skirts protect from rock chips. You see that right there? That's actually a staple holding the two halves of the hairy cardboard inner fender liner together. Out back, you go down to a single piston caliper, but up to a 13.8 inch or 350.5 millimeter rear rotor, largely probably because the inner parking brake drum expands that diameter. Wheel and tire, square stance, same size you get up front. In the name of science, it is now time to give it the beans. But first, assessment of bolstering. No, there's no bolstering to these seats. They're black leather with taupe stitching and a little pipe down the center. The seats are heated as well as ventilated, and the steering wheel is heated. They're also power memory. As far as drive modes go, I have me flipper in the center here. I thought it was funny. You can press that and go from normal to sport to EV. Then it makes sounds like the Macarena, as well as it does have an off-road mode, which I want to test if I get one of these things without the 21-inch diameter wheels. That way it gets a fair assessment off-road. In addition to the drive mode, you also have hybrid battery modes. You press this, and it will utilize the internal combustion engine to charge up your battery pack. There's a button to the left of the steering wheel that says TCS off. I can press that to turn off traction control. The shift lever, which looks like the end of a chicken drumstick, does not move over to a manual mode. However, it does have paddle shifters to enable a manual mode. And let's see what this thing can do. Ready, sets, go. Okay, oh, torques. Oh, torques. There's a shit ton of torques off the line. And it grabs gears fast, that's good. Transmission's pretty fast shifts. Man, there's a shit ton of torque off the line though. I think it's quicker than the straight six. There's definitely some fake synthetic sounds, but this is part spaceship since it is a PHEV, so I guess par for golf. Oh, hood pop. There's actually very minimal orange peel in that Soul Crystal Red. I never mentioned paint, but that's noticeable. For how big the hood is, that's not bad. Hood struts. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Mazda CX70 PHEV is the Skyactiv PY-VPS 2.5 liter all aluminum dual overhead cam naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that on its own without the help of the hybrid system produces 189 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and a rather impressive 192 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM for an NA 4-cylinder. That's not bad. Now, if you add in the electric motor, which I mentioned earlier, sitting between the engine and the transmission, which is a 68 kilowatt unit producing 173 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 199 pound-feet of torque at only 400 RPM, you get a total combined system output of 323 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. That's actual aluminum painted on the plastic. That's detail right there. Remove this. Oh, it just lifts up. Okay. I forgot about that. They give you this little plastic doodad that allows you to latch the engine cover to the underside of the hood. Whoa! That's insane, because of all the room that you have to have for the straight six, it puts the 4-cylinder completely behind the steering rack. That is absolutely front midship. You can see it is an electric assisted power steering rack with a 17.1:1 ratio. Digging in a little bit deeper on this 2488cc naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, it has an 89 by 100 millimeter bore in stroke with a 13:1 compression ratio. It also does have direct injection only and variable valve timing on both intake and exhaust cams. The snorkel sucks air into the air box where it's then fed directly into the throttle body, then into a plastic intake manifold. Also has a plastic valve cover. Lots of sharp heat shielding right here by the external exhaust manifold. It's not cast into the cylinder head. There's only one drive belt to contend with right here going to presume, power steering. There's a line for it. The rearmost coil pack is just barely underneath this little removable cardboard panel. Twin radiator caps, one for the hybrid system and then the other one for the engine. While I did like the new turbo straight six, and I would like to even more see it end up in a next generation Toyota Supra, the Toyota Mazda partnership, I don't know if I could recommend it in one of these over this simple naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, even with the hybrid system. Grip and rip. Go. Oh, jeez! Man! This got so much grip, it'll rip your face off. Sport mode feels like a sport mode. Keeps the revs up, keeps you right in the power band. I do have the flappy paddles. Look at a little blip. They're fast. It's actually fast. The blips on the throttle are pretty quick. This is actually a fairly fast shifting transmission. Downshift, punch it. Reasonably quick upshifts. There's a little bit of a delay, but it's very subtle. Handling wise, I mean, it's a 5,000 pound vehicle. You can feel a little bit of the weight. A little bit. The 275s all the way around though go a long way. I'm glad that it has this wheel and tire setup on it just for handling enjoyment, because it's for what this is. It's not a bad handling vehicle. I'm also sad because I really wanted to see how it would do off-road. It's not bad. I don't notice the difference between this and the CX90 when it comes to handling. It's been too far apart since I've reviewed them, and honestly, you'd have to have them on a racetrack back to back to really notice the difference, I feel. The drivetrain difference though between this and the straight six, massive difference. The torque on this is just so incredible. And the straight six I did like, especially the sound of it. It's an incredible sounding engine. That engine deserves to find its way into a sports car. If only Toyota and Mazda could get together for the next generation Supra instead of BMW. Good torque. That is the takeaway from this thing, the torque. Torque and grip. It doesn't sound bad. I feel like this 2.5 liter on its own isn't a bad sounding engine. It's grunty sounding. Didn't really get too upset over that bump there. The suspension is firm. I wouldn't call it stiff, I'd call it firm. It's definitely not soccer mom minivan feeling. It does feel performance oriented. I feel there was a great emphasis in the design of this vehicle to actually make it handle well, which if it's a SUV, it's kind of like, which way are you trying to go? Is it supposed to be good at off-road, or is it supposed to be good on-road, or is it supposed to do both? Because you can never really have both. You can have decent, but it's never going to be excellent in either direction. My biggest complaint when I reviewed the CX90 was with the 8-speed, there was a massive disconnect or discommunication between throttle input and what the transmission was actually doing, especially from taking off from a dead stop. At times there was just massive delays and hesitations in normal mode. Now in this, whether there's been revisions to the TCU or if it's just because this is the PHEV drivetrain with a different engine and of course the electric motor in between, I don't notice it as bad in normal mode. It's only just subtle, but when it's in sport mode, I don't notice it at all. It doesn't seem like there is any disconnect between throttle input and the drivetrain. It seems very reactive. So it's leading me to believe it was more of a software tuning issue than it was an actual mechanical hardware issue. You hear that loud humming sound? That's nature's way to let you know you're about to have swamp ass. Storage space. Oh, there's buttons. What do these do? Oh, that's fancy. It folds the seats for you. Yeah, you can put a sheet of plywood in there probably. I don't know if you'd want to. I mean, yeah, with 2 less seats, obviously you're gonna have more room. Holy crap, 1500 watt AC power inverter? It's printed upside down. That's weird. I feel like maybe it's a little lazy to have not redesigned the plastic panels back here for the ones without the 3rd row, but I guess if you're camping, that gives you storage space to put drinks. Another trash bag holder. Oh, maybe it's a bottle opener. And also, that's neat, it's upside down on there too. Underneath here is a storage space almost large enough to rage shove your charge cable in case you're too lazy to roll it up. What happens if I grab it? Haha. Oh, now I just confused it. The tailgate looks like a early 2000s Ford Taurus station wagon. Ah yes, the upper middle class window tint shades. You can see with my hot dog legs here, I got miles of leg room. Oh, these seats are so upright. Wait, well, they slide. That's rad. You get even more room back there. And I'm assuming they recline. Oh, it's really firm. Oh, my camera case is back there. I'm an idiot. The rear seats are heated, and I do have my own climate control menu and dual USB-C charge ports, as well as a vent right here. There's none up there. Ah, rear side seat airbags. It's a pretty fancy interior. I feel like the CX90 review looked more luxurious than this one does, but I would definitely put it on the class of level of a V-dub. Power fold mirrors. There's a button to deactivate the sound of your external force field, as well as one to stop you from peeing on cones. Tri-zone climate control has a ninja boot shaped center console that opens up butterfly style, and it's not very deep because transmission tunnel. I'm not sure what this is supposed to represent, fake diamond plating or what. It's just plastic though. The infotainment system, like the CX90, is controlled via this giant dial in the center that is a button as well. Wireless phone charge pad. There is quite a bit of stuff packed in here, but it's rather serious. Classy looking graphics. EV priority mode. Well, you can customize your instrument cluster at least, I guess. Normal size numbers and extra normal size numbers. I do like the fact that they give you the ability to change how you want your paddle shifters to react while you're driving. Stays in manual shift mode until you turn it off. I like that. All I can say is this sound system actually gave me goosebumps. It makes me want to re-listen to songs just to hear them on this thing. I like it a lot. It's a surprisingly tiny door speaker. Normally they're massive and down there. I'm usually not one to complain about materials, but this plastic trim by the rear view mirror is like the plastic equivalent of toilet paper. Sunglass holder, padded. It is equipped with all the robot driving assistant aid things that people like that don't like driving. I don't know if I could agree with just deleting some rear seats and changing the bumper covers and it constitutes a brand new model. To me, that seems like a bit of a reach. I would like to have seen some physical differences in the body itself or something else to differentiate this from the 90. Regardless of the marketing tactics, I do like the piece of machinery. I feel better than the 90. Also, big win for the fact that this is a traditional longitudinal layout drivetrain. I'm always a massive fan of that layout, more so than a transverse mounted drivetrain configuration, especially when it comes to maintaining and working on a vehicle. It's just so much simpler like this. This thing is in theory rated at 26 miles of full EV range, although every time I charge it up, it shows 30 on my gauge cluster. So either way, I feel that is a win-win if you want the best of both worlds. You get none of the drawbacks of having a pure EV, and you have all the benefits of having an internal combustion engine, but you can also drive reasonable distances in full electric mode, and this thing charges fast too. I'm putting the charging times on the screen. I feel that is completely reasonable for most people's lifestyle. And this one fully spec'd out the PHEV drivetrain. While 58 grand is by no means cheap, it is fairly luxurious and lots of tech packed into it. And compared to some other vehicles of similar price that seem like an absolute reach to try to get that kind of money for what you're getting, this seems a little bit more appropriate. It is now time to give this some scores, starting with the bean score, the assessment of the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And the 2025 CX70 PHEV earned a rating of. Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value, and as this one sits fairly well loaded up with options at about $58,000, it gets a rating of. Considering these things start in the low 40s, and this is about as spec'd out as it gets at 58, I would say that's fair enough. And next is the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it's getting a rating of easier than the straight 6, that's for sure. Next is the squid score, the assessment of handling, and it is earning a rating of. Lastly is the penguin score, the assessment on how much I personally like a vehicle, and the CX70 PHEV earned a rating of. I like, my heart says straight 6, but I think this product is better suited like this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.